So I was on TikTok the other day and I came across a video asking what would happen if the Viltrumites came across the Saiyans from Dragon Ball Z.
Okay, my friends, here is my question for today. The Viltrumites eventually agreed that they would go off and destroy basically all civilizations, so they were the only civilization. So they traveled planet to planet, and my question is this. What happens when they got to planet Vegeta and encountered the Saiyan race? Would they be able to topple them?
Now, me being a Dragon Ball fan from day one, I obviously thought that, oh no, the Saiyans would definitely defeat like the Viltrumites easily, like with ease. Like who even are they? They look like B-Tech Superman. But anyway, but then I went in the comment section of the video and saw a lot of people said Omni-Man would slap the Saiyans, and I thought, hang on, but is the guy even planetary? Because I haven't seen, like, I ain't watched the show yet, but I ain't seen anywhere online say that this guy could one-shot a planet. So that I thought, you know what, let me try and make a video answering the question. Before this video starts, this is going to be the first time I ever like tried to power scale two different series, so if I get some words or facts wrong, just allow me, because it's the first time I ever tried this. Also, I'm not Seth the programmer, but if anyone wants to debate me on this topic, you know where the comments are. Just type in there, I'll respond to whenever I can. Also, before this starts, I'm going to be using the anime/manga version of Dragon Ball Z, so like the original. So I'm not going to be using anything from Super, meaning like the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, like has like the new Bardock and new King Vegeta. I'm not going to talk about them. I'm using the old Bardock, old King Vegeta if they get mentioned. This is only just to help like scale the Saiyans. Also, I'm going to be using the Invincible cartoon to scale the Viltrumites, or Viltrumites, whatever they're called. This is because I haven't read the comic, but I watched the entire series through and through, just to make sure I don't get anything wrong. So yeah, without further ado, let's get this video started. So to start off this debate, I'm going to be starting off with the Viltrumites. Now, to scale the Viltrumites, I scaled them off the feats that we see from Omni-Man himself, and not Invincible, only being because Invincible is half human. Even though later on Omni-Man states that his blood is nearly like pure Viltrumite, I'm only going to be using Omni-Man as he's like the only pure Viltrumite we see throughout the entire series. Like he's the one that we see properly, you know, his feet, blah blah blah, you get what I'm trying to say. Though I might use Invincible to back my points on certain things, on like say like his strength or endurance, because we do see more of Invincible fighting and whatnot. So yeah. To start off, I'm going to be talking about Omni-Man's best speed feat. That's his combat speed. Combat speed is completely different. Right now we're talking about his travel speed, and his best travel speed comes from episode 2, when Omni-Man solo blitzes the alien race that was trying to conquer Earth. So that in episode 2 we see Omni-Man casually flying through multiple cities at such a speed that the buildings behind him were like being vaporized. Like when you watch the episode, if you've seen episode 2, then you'll see what I mean. Like you see him flying through, causing like multiple explosions throughout the buildings with just his speed alone. So like because this is an alien planet and the buildings are made out of alien materials, I can't like accurately calculate like how strong, like how fast he has to be moving to cause these explosions to wipe out these buildings. But let's say, for example, he did this on Earth. Like let's say the alien buildings are made out of the same materials as Earth buildings, like granite and stuff like that. So let's say Omni-Man did this on Earth. The energy that he would to be outputting with his speed would have to be equivalent to a nuclear bomb. Because if you see like the rubble, the destruction he left behind, also the explosion visuals, they look pretty similar to like nuclear bombs going off. Like he didn't fully vaporize the buildings, but they were destroyed like in a nuclear event. So let's highball it and say the energy that Omni-Man is outputting is equivalent to the Tsar Bomb. Now the Tsar Bomb is the strongest nuclear weapon ever tested, I believe. Like, I had to Google it just to like double check, but I think it is the strongest weapon that humans have ever tested. So for Omni-Man to be outputting the same amount of energy as a Tsar Bomb, he would have to be outputting like 50 to 58 megatons of TNT with his speed alone. Like, that would mean his energy output would have to be 2 times 10 to the power of 17 joules. So that's 2 with 17 zeros behind it. I don't know that number by name, but I'll have it up on the screen. Like, you can see that's a pretty big number. For him to be producing that much kinetic energy, he'll have to be moving over 200 times the speed of sound, and he's doing that with no effort. Like, you can see he's not breaking a sweat. He was fine when he got back to Earth. He was doing that with ease. All of Omni-Man's other speed feats, are just pretty casual. Like, we see him breaking the sound barrier multiple times, so that just confirms that he's capable of moving beyond the speed of sound. And I've already said his greatest speed feat so far. Like, we haven't seen him do or perform anything beyond that yet. There aren't many like amazing Omni-Man strength feats that we see on screen. Like, nothing like comparable to his speed feat. In episode 7, however, he does claim that he stopped an asteroid the size of Texas from hitting the Earth.
Yeah, you should have seen the asteroid I diverted a few years ago, the size of Texas.
Now, he could have been exaggerating that point just to like big himself up, I guess. Or we could take his word as fact. If we take his word as fact, he stopped an asteroid with the length of 800 miles and the width of 770 miles. To put that into perspective, the asteroid believed to have wiped out the dinosaurs it's only theorized to be around 6 to 50 miles long. So basically what I'm trying to say is the asteroid that Omni-Man stopped would have been life-threatening, but it wouldn't have destroyed the planet. Like, it would have wiped out all life on the planet, but the planet would still be there. Like, it would still be intact. So, but then that's taking what he says as fact. Like, Omni-Man could be an unreliable narrator. Like, we don't know if he's exaggerating the statement or not. Another strength feat for Omni-Man is in episode 2, where he's playing catch, I guess, with his son. Like, he's not playing baseball, but he has a baseball in his hand. But basically, him and his son are playing catch. And in the scene, Omni-Man throws a baseball around the entire circumference of the Earth within 19 seconds. Now, the circumference of the Earth is 40,075 kilometers, like, around, if you get what I'm trying to say, meaning that the ball traveled at a rate of 2,109 kilometers a second. Basically, what I'm trying to say is he threw a ball around the Earth, and that ball traveled at a rate of 6,000 times the sound barrier. So I think it's pretty much safe to say that, especially with the asteroid calculation, that Omni-Man could recreate this same feat to the average person / Saiyan, because the average person ain't that heavy compared to an asteroid that he quote unquote claims to have stopped. The only last like strength feat I have for Omni-Man is in episode 8, where he punched Invincible from the outskirts of Chicago into like the middle of the city. Well, like, we don't know exactly where in Chicago Invincible landed, but let's just say for now it was in the middle of the city, and the force of the impact of Invincible going through the buildings was able to knock down a single tower block. And then later on in the episode, we also see a single punch where Omni-Man was able to cause an avalanche. Now again, that doesn't really seem like much compared to his asteroid feat, but it's worth mentioning. Moving on to endurance, there's only a few endurance feats for Omni-Man. I mean, most of them come from episode 7, so yeah, it is what it is. I'm not going to be talking about his fight with Invincible, because as we saw, like, there's no point talking about that. Invincible got beat up because he's weaker than Omni-Man. Like, they made that pretty clear. In episode 7, however, he did endure a hit from the enraged hero, the Immortal. Immortal was said to be moving at Mark 3, so again, he took on a pretty hefty hit and barely, like, he didn't even, it did move him, but it didn't phase him. Like, he shrugged it off easily. In the same episode, he did shrug off again 2 point blank waves of energy from space. Now, like, the episode doesn't state how strong those waves were, but they were strong enough to give him a nosebleed. Again, doesn't sound like a much, but if you look at the visuals of the wave, they were similar to like nuclear detonations. Like, if you watch the episode, the visuals will be on screen, but if you watch the episode, you'll know what I mean. Like, he got hit point blank twice, shrugged it off, didn't phase him. His last endurance feat is in episode 2, in his fight against the Guardians of the Globe. Like, we can see he's somewhat capable of taking on multiple heroes at once, but at the same time, if they get the upper hand, they are going to land a decent amount of damage on him. Like, even though in that fight it was clearly shown that Omni-Man was stronger than all the heroes, they still left him badly beaten. Like, for example, in his little fight with Red Rush was able to cause him to cough up blood before Red Rush was inevitably killed. Also, the Immortal and the female hero, I'm sorry I don't remember her name, when they managed to have Omni-Man restrained, they too were also able to like badly damage Omni-Man and leave them heavily bruised, nearly whacking, or the visuals show that they tried to whack out his eye, something like that. Like, with the female hero's weapon, you'll see what I mean. The visuals are going to be on screen, but again, his fight with the Guardians, Omni-Man did not leave that unscathed. He was heavily damaged and was eventually hospitalized because of the fight. So again, he's pretty strong to take them all on, but they did leave him hospitalized. Like, that's going to be brought up later in the final fight. So like I said at the start of the video, I'm going to be talking about this, when I'm talking about the Saiyans, I'm going to be using the original Z/manga version of the Saiyans to make things easier. Like, it doesn't really change much, but it helps with the calculations. But then this also means I'm not using the Super Broly, the Super Vegeta, the Super King Vegeta, or the Super Bardock, because we don't know their power levels, and plus, like, I'm pretty sure the Bardock in that universe, in the new Super timeline, is weaker than the original Z counterpart, who's said to have a power level around 10,000 after getting beat up by the Doria. But anyway, that doesn't matter. Unlike with the Viltrumites, we have 3 Saiyans to roughly work out an average for the Saiyan race. These 3 Saiyans being Raditz, Nappa, and Vegeta. But I'm only going to be using Saiyan Saga Vegeta. Let me explain. So, it is stated in the Daizenshuu that Raditz is the lowest example of the Saiyan race. Like, he's the lowest of the low. So he's going to be like our baseline for the Saiyan race. Nappa will be our mid-class Saiyan, because apparently he is ranked to mid-class. I think there is a Toriyama statement that contradicts that now, but for now I'm just going to be using the Daizenshuu to help me with this. And then Vegeta, being one of the 2 only elite Saiyans, is going to be our pinnacle of Saiyan power. So the Saiyan average will obviously be below Vegeta, but he'll just be there to help us rank them all. So when scaling the Saiyans, we can compare them to other characters' feats from around and even before the Saiyan Saga. For example, in the Dragon Ball tournament, one of the world tournaments where Master Roshi fought Goku as Jackie Chan, Master Roshi destroyed the moon with a Kamehameha wave in under a few seconds. This feat is later on then recreated by a much stronger Piccolo while training for the Saiyans with little effort and in under less time. Now the distance between the Earth and the moon is 384,400 kilometers, one of them. Divide that by the 4 seconds it took for Piccolo's attack to impact the moon. That would mean that Piccolo's beam traveled at a speed of 59,000 miles, nearly 60,000 miles a second. I know I went from kilometers to miles, but it's just to help me. I'll put all the calculations on the screen so no one gets confused. Bear in mind though, Piccolo's beam traveled at nearly 60,000 miles a second. The speed of light is approximately 186,000 miles a second. So Piccolo's beam wasn't moving at the speed of light, but it nearly was. It was half the speed of light basically. So even though Piccolo's attack wasn't at the speed of light, bear in mind that at this point in the series, Raditz was still stronger than Piccolo, because in the Daizenshu and in the manga it is stated that Piccolo's power level while training for the Saiyans at this particular point where he attacked the moon, his power level was around 329, whereas Raditz's power is stated to be his power level is stated to be 1,500 by the Daizenshu. So if you do the math, Raditz is around 4 times the strength of Piccolo, meaning if you take Piccolo's attack speed calculation and times it by 4, we can get a rough estimate of how fast Raditz can fire his attacks, and as you can see on the screen, it is beyond the speed of light. Moving on, the Saiyan Nappa was shown capable of destroying an entire sea with just a flick of his 2 fingers. So he's already demonstrated that he can perform like nuke level attacks with ease. Even the visual of his attack was similar to a nuke, not unlike Omni-Man's speed feat on the alien planet. Nappa was also shown capable of flying easily through the Earth's naval defenses, but that doesn't really matter, but it's worth mentioning considering that Omni-Man did the similar feat in episode 8 during his fight with his son. And then let's not forget how Nappa single-handedly took on the Z fighters and nearly killed them all until Goku arrived. Now I know that's not the exact same as how when Omni-Man was fighting the Guardians, but it's worth mentioning how even after every single fight, Nappa didn't show any signs of being tired. He was ready for the next fight. Our last Saiyan to talk about his strength is Vegeta. Now I'm just going to be honest, it's not actually shown or stated if Nappa or Raditz could blow up a planet, and if it is, I can't find it anywhere. But it is stated and shown many times that Vegeta is on a planetary level. Even when his beam clash with Goku, Vegeta stated that his galactic gun would destroy the Earth if it impacted.
Dodge this next attack if you can! But know that if you do, your precious little planet will be gone!
And again, in the filler scene, even though it's not canon to the manga, remember I am using the Z anime as well, in the filler arc before he ran to Earth, Vegeta was shown easily destroying the planet Alia along with its moon. Going back to Vegeta's galactic gun, Vegeta, again, he stated that his galactic gun would destroy the Earth. Now, the amount of energy required to destroy the Earth, or rather disrupt the gravitational energy of the planet, he would have to be outputting around 2.25 times 10 to the power of 32 joules. So you have to be outputting around and over that much energy to destroy the planet. Remember, the energy that Omni-Man was output with his speed alone was only around 2 times 10 to the power 17 joules. So we clearly see already that Vegeta's energy levels are higher than Omni-Man's. But again, Omni-Man was doing it with ease. We don't know like the pinnacle of its power yet. Also, a small side note before I forget to mention it, everything we say about the Saiyans' power can also be times by 10 solely because of their grade transformation. So like their grade transformation times their base power by 10. So if we take Vegeta's energy calculation, we can easily times that by 10, and that's him in his grade 8 form. So again, easy dwarfing Omni-Man's energy already just as a grade 8. Endurance in Dragon Ball is pretty easy to scale, I guess. Like you could roughly sum it up as if said character can output this much power, he can endure the same amount of power. Like a good example of this is with Frieza. Frieza was shown to easily be able to destroy a planet, no doubt. He destroyed planet Vegeta in a few seconds, and even though it took a lot longer, he did destroy planet Namek. When he was on planet Namek, he showed no concern about the planet blowing up around him. Like that basically just there shows you that he would have tanked the planet's explosion and moved on like it was nothing. Like even when heavily damaged by Goku at near death, Frieza still tanked Namek's explosion on top of already being heavily weakened due to his fight with Super Saiyan Goku. There's not a lot of like evidence to show like Raditz's endurance because he was only around for like a few episodes, but what I can safely say is that Raditz can easily endure energy waves more than capable of destroying Earth's moon like 10 times over. Because if you consider that Dragon Ball Master Roshi was able to destroy the moon with little ease, and now a stronger Goku and Piccolo is fighting Raditz, so he's easily able of enduring like moon level attacks. Raditz was also shown to be pretty capable of taking on at least 2 opponents and rushing them at once. Like his fight with Piccolo and Goku, he was dealing with them with ease. It was only until Goku started getting the upper hand after his eventual Zenkai that Raditz started losing. And before you say Goku didn't get a Zenkai during that battle, please remember Saiyans get Zenkais while they fight. I will talk about this more later on, but for now just keep that in mind. Same can be said about Nappa. We don't really know about his endurance per se, but I mean, we can just infer he's the same as Raditz. He could take moon level attacks because remember, Nappa defeated Piccolo. Piccolo was previously shown to be able to destroy the moon, and Nappa was only put down by Goku, who was only 2 times stronger than him after powering up the Kaioken. Vegeta, on the other hand, we can pretty much summarize his endurance because just by statements alone. Because remember, Vegeta's Galactic Gun, he said himself that it's capable of destroying the Earth. Goku then matched his Galactic Gun in power with the Kaioken times 3 Kamehameha. Goku then overpowered him with a Kaioken times 4 boost, eventually overpowering Vegeta's Galactic Gun and sending him up into the atmosphere. So remember that Vegeta has just survived an attack that could destroy the planet Earth. Vegeta then comes back and continues the fight. Even a weakened Vegeta after losing his grade 8 form was able to survive the Spirit Bomb comprised of the Earth's energy, albeit just barely. Now I don't know how you would work out the Spirit Bomb's energy, but just think about it like this. Every living thing, man as humans, gave its energy to the Spirit Bomb. So let's say the Spirit Bomb is strong enough to destroy the Earth at minimum. Vegeta has just now tanked 2 Earth destroying attacks. That's a pretty impressive feat. There's no actual example of Raditz, Nappa, or even Vegeta's speed in the anime or manga, like at all. Like, please remember, I'm talking about travel speed, not combat speed, but we can roughly calculate how fast they can move while flying or running even. To do this, we have to work out how long it took Goku to run back from King Kai's planet, like, to the other side of Snake Way. So Snake Way's length is a bit iffy, but in the manga and Kai, it is stated to be about 1,000,000 kilometers long. On the screen, it will say how far that is in miles. However, different dubs say it's only 10,000 miles long, but because I'm going with the manga, I'm going to go with the manga and Kai's version of Snake Way and not the other dubs. So in the manga, King Kai stated, well, he did state, he estimated that it would take Goku around 2 days to run back across Snake Way, take the check-in station where King Yama would be. So let's say Goku took the whole 2 days to get to the other side of Snake Way. That would mean Goku would have traveled that at least like, to get there in like the whole 2 days, Goku would have traveled that around 20,000 kilometers an hour. Bear in mind, the speed of sound is 770 miles per hour, and then Goku moved 16 times the speed of sound. Now we can take Goku's speed and apply it to the other Saiyans. Now again, this is a rough guess on how fast they would be, and it's not concrete. Like, we don't know if Goku was running at his max speed the whole time, we don't know if he was at full power, but we can infer that he wasn't at full power until he got to the Fire Earth. So this speed calculation is just gonna be like a rough baseline of what Raditz, Nappa, Vegeta and other Saiyans like them can do. So upon arriving back on Earth, Vegeta's scouter clocked Goku at a power level around 5,000. 5,000. So for argument's sake, let's say while Goku traveled across Snake Way, he was suppressed like he was before he arrived at the fight with the Saiyans. This will make Goku 3 times stronger than Raditz, 1.25 times stronger than Raditz, but it would make Vegeta 3.6 times stronger than him. So now all we have to do is take Goku's speed calc and apply it to the others. So we times Goku's speed by 3.6 to get Vegeta's, we divide it by 1.25 to get Nappa's, and we divide it by 3 to get Raditz's. All the calculations will be on the screen, and this basically we're just trying to work out how fast Vegeta, Nappa and Raditz would be. But I already have the calculations in front of me, so I can easily just say to you right now, they are no doubt slower than Omni-Man at travel speed. Like, please remember, travel speed and combat speed are 2 different things, they are not the same. I didn't really know what to do with this category, so I thought I'll mix into one, because there isn't a lot to say about the Viltrumites with their other abilities, but I've noticed one thing, and it was very late into the series. So from what we could see with Omni-Man, like, he doesn't really show signs that he needs to breathe, because like, he's capable of intergalactic flight, and when he was underwater he seems pretty chill. Like, again, he could be holding his breath, but he didn't seem to like need air. And then when he does travel through space, he's not wearing a suit. So again, that kind of backs the point where these guys probably don't need oxygen, and that will come in handy in the final fight, but we'll get to that when we get to that. The Saiyans, however, their unique ability is what we fans call the Zenkai Boost. Now, what the Zenkai Boost is the ability that allows the Saiyans to grow stronger while fighting or while recovering from a fight. So a good example of this is in the manga and in the anime, when Goku's on Namek. Now remember, Goku arrived on Namek with a base power level of 90,000, and then with the Kaioken it was 108,000 when he tried to fight Captain Ginyu, and this is also backed up by that Denshu. After Goku got his body back from Ginyu after it was heavily damaged by Gohan and Vegeta, Goku was placed into the healing pod, and then once fully recovered, he emerged with a base power level of 3 million. So bear in mind, Goku went from power level of 90,000 to 3 million. Now it can be argued that Goku's power only shot up that high because he was sensing the ongoing battle with Frieza, and his body was only acting to prepare him for the active threat at the time. Because in the same saga, Vegeta had numerous Zenkai boosts, but they weren't as high as Goku's. So Goku's was the, Goku's was the outlier. But again, all Saiyans have the ability to get Zenkai boosts. A very good example of this would be Broly in the new Super movie, but because I'm not using anything from Super, I can't really talk about him, but I wish I could. When I first started working on this video, I genuinely thought the Saiyans would win outright, and not gonna lie, they kind of do, but they don't at the same time. Like, it's interesting. So in the speed category, the Viltrumites outright win. Omni-Man has shown travel speeds much greater than the Saiyans. Remember, he can move at 200,000 times the speed of light with ease, whereas I calculated Vegeta to be able to move around 60 times the speed of light. And then plus, with the Viltrumites' ability to breathe in space, they kind of outright win with like the travel speed calculation. However, though compared to their power, the Viltrumites are much weaker than the Saiyans, because as we see, the Saiyans are easily capable of destroying planets with low energy compared to Omni-Man, who didn't technically destroy a planet. Like, we don't see what he did to the alien planet, but what we do see, he doesn't destroy it, he only wiped out its entire population. Like, we don't see him physically destroying a planet, whereas we see Vegeta destroy a planet in the filler arc, and we also have multiple statements that back up that Vegeta is a planet buster. Also, Vegeta's energy output outright surpasses Omni-Man's kinetic energy output. Even though we can basically infer that Omni-Man was holding back, whereas Vegeta wasn't really. Vegeta wasn't holding back against Goku. Omni-Man was clearly holding back, but the numbers don't lie. Like, Omni-Man's energy output was clearly lower than Vegeta's energy output. And even if you say Omni-Man was holding back, he wasn't going all out, Vegeta still has his grade 8 form. So if we take Vegeta's energy output with the Gallic Gun, all we do is times it by 10, we get his grade 8 form. So boom, there we go. That would be the argument there. Same can be said about Endurance. Vegeta, Raditz, Nappa, they all show they're capable of taking like devastating attacks, whereas for Omni-Man, though impressive, he did shrug off multiple nuke level attacks and produced his own nuke himself. He doesn't he isn't shown like being able to take a planetary level attack. Like, there just isn't enough evidence to say that Omni-Man can endure a planet level attack like Vegeta could. Like, when season 2 drops, it will obviously be a different argument, and I'm not talking about the comics right now, I'm only talking about the cartoon. Like, Omni-Man, there just isn't enough feats for him to say he can survive like a Vegeta level attack. Plus, along with that, we did see Omni-Man get pretty beat up by just a couple of other superheroes. Like, we didn't know their power levels, but it does kind of speak for itself. Another thing with that as well, it does show that Omni-Man wasn't capable of taking multiple planets at once. Like, he did struggle with them. Like, you could say, yeah, he still won, but he did struggle against them. So if Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz was to bum rush Omni-Man, there's no doubt they would win. Like, there's no doubt. But this argument isn't about them. This is about the Saiyans as a whole versus the Viltrumites. So if the Viltrumites were to ever attack Planet Vegeta, like their speed no doubt will be their best friend. Like their speed outsurpasses everyone on the planet, but their strength means absolutely nothing to the average Saiyan. Like if we say Nappa is the average Saiyan, their strength means nothing. If the Viltrumites say, okay cool, let's take out their hierarchy first, King Vegeta and Vegeta would handle it with ease. Like King Vegeta has his own feat where he destroys 3 planets at once. Like we're not going to talk about that, but he does destroy 3 planets at once. That's kind of speaks for itself. I think the real argument would be, could the Saiyans land a hit on the Viltrumites? Like in combat, yes. So say at the fan like King Vegeta did one-on-one, then yeah, the Saiyans are gonna land hits on them. But say the Viltrumites are using their travel, not using the combat speed, they're using their travel speed to like outdo the Saiyans, then no, I don't believe the Saiyans will land hits on the Viltrumites. But then, depending on how long the battle takes, over time, the Saiyans' Zenkais will allow them to keep up with the Viltrumites' movements, and then over time, they will surpass the Viltrumites. And if anyone tries to argue saying, oh well, if they go Grey Ape, the Viltrumites will hit them easily, not necessarily, because in their Grey Ape forms, they're only 10 times stronger. Like although the Grey Ape forms are big, they still move just as they move 10 times fast. They can still fly, they can still do all their normal abilities, they're just in a giant monkey body. Like the Grey Ape forms don't have like any disadvantages. So yeah, my final statement on this video, like I still believe the Saiyans just outright dominate the Viltrumites in strength. Like if the Viltrumites came to Planet Vegeta, the Saiyans are gonna rock them. And like this isn't even talking about Saiyans like Broly, Vegeta and Goku at the end of Super. Like their stats, there's no contest, they would win outright. But we're talking about the original Z Saiyans from the anime and the manga. Like yeah, they basically won. Like they're not as fast as the Viltrumites, but in combat wise, they've won the battle. And before anyone again tries to argue, well, the Viltrumites have more numbers, we don't know that, because we don't know how many Saiyans there are on Planet Vegeta. We don't know how many Viltrumites there are on Planet Viltrum. We don't even know how big either planet is, because all we know is that Planet Vegeta is bigger than Earth, but we don't know if the Viltrum is bigger than Earth. So again, the numbers could vary, but overall, I believe that the Saiyans would not easily, but they would beat the Viltrumites eventually. Like the Viltrumites aren't just gonna come in and solo them. The Saiyans obviously got this. So I hope you guys like this video. Again, this is the first time me trying to power scale a video. This is also the first time I've had a script in my face. Like if you couldn't tell, I'm reading off a script roughly. That's why I keep stuttering and going because this is the first time I've ever done this. I'm kind of nervous. Like right now I'm just thinking of if someone like Seth watches this video, they're gonna clown on me. The only person that can't clown on me is freaking Death Battle, because they don't know how to power scale for anything. Like nah, Death Battle sucks, I'm sorry. But yeah, I might do power scaling again. I'm not that good at it, but I might do it again. Depends on how many likes I get in this video. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. And again, if you want to argue with me, you know my comment section is I might even link my Discord, so you can just call me in Discord and I'll argue with them there. But yeah, thanks for watching and peace.